are you gonna have for Thanksgiving? I'm sorry to hear that. What kind of pie are you gonna have for Thanksgiving? I don't know. Sue came over today to try to buy a pie or something. Yeah, she bought one. Did she buy one? Yeah. Which one did she buy? I don't know. I don't know which one.
I was gonna do that too, cause I have to be too, but not on my time. But
I'll find it for you. What's next? Well, I just thought, I thought one.
We actually thought about going down to Edwards and buying a dozen pieces of pie. They won't sell you a full-size pie.
oh, that's
So the only way you can get an apple pie, really good apple pie, is to buy a dozen pieces
Now it's reminds me.
I just put it on my today's calendar.
at $4 a piece, $50 pie.
That's a good pie.
But it'd be good, it'd be really good.
Hi, Chuck.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi, how are you guys?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Try to find something.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, buddy, how are you?
Charlie, good, how are you?
Good.
I have
Junior,
text
how are you?
message.
Good.
I got some glasses
Isn't he
for you,
exactly?
I forgot to bring them.
But I.
Okay, well, I walk the dog twice a day, I just don't walk them by your place. So,
I'll have to go down and stand on the street corner and wait for you.
yeah. Yeah, we're gonna be up there in December sometime.
Oh,
So,
up on our end of the block?
no, Rosholt, where they do the eyeglass recycling. They do 1 million pair of eyeglasses up there a year. Can you believe
Now they'll
that?
have 1 million too.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yes.
Oh, really? Oh, does it say this or not, what the drawing says? I'm not on the typing first. What did it used to be? Five? Oh, that's right.
Hey, there's new batteries in all the microphones.
Sure.
So. And,
Test.
Mark, may be late if you come, so I will call the meeting to order. And roll call. Pete Bushy.
Here.
Jonell Carlson. Here. Lawrence Dietrich.
Here.
Jerry Gibbons.
Here.
And Mark absent, and Pamela Shutt. Here. I would ask for a motion to be made to appoint a chair pro tem.
I nominate Pam Shutt.
Second.
Thirded.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
I can still say your eye, just fine.
Yes, you can if you want to. Yeah.
Are you okay?
I got some. So, we'll do the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda is approval of minutes.
I move we approve the minutes of September 23rd meeting.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Then we have, public hearing for the following, ordinance 10-14-2025-288, amending chapter 111 zoning and creating section 160, 7A, 161, 7A, and section 162, 7A, dwelling size, RS2 and RS3 single-family district of the Village of Sharon Municipal Code. Chapters 111, section 111-160, 7A dwelling size, section 111, 161, 7A dwelling size, and 111, 162, 7A dwelling size to be created to read 111-160, 7A dwelling size. There shall be a minimum dwelling size of 30 feet by 40 feet. 111-161, 7A dwelling size. There shall be a minimum dwelling size of 30 feet by 40 feet. 111-162, 7A dwelling size. There shall be a minimum dwelling size of 30 feet by 40 feet. I think the first one I might have said 161, it's dash 160.
This is the public hearing we're in right now, right?
Right.
Right. So,
So that means the public has their input.
right, do I still read it?
We all for it.
So number 2, ordinance 10-14-2025-289, amending chapter 111 zoning and creating sections 160, 6B, 161, 6B, and 162, 6B, RS1, RS2, and RS3, single-family district of the Village of Sharon Municipal Code. Chapter 111, section 111-160, 6B, yards, 111-161, 6B, yards, and 111-162, 6B, yards, be amended to read 111-160, 6B, there shall be minimum size yard of not less than 10 feet on each side. The same for 111-161, 6B, and 111-162, 6B, also stating there shall be a minimum size yard of not less than 10 feet on each side.
Was this because of those 2 homes that they're trying to build on Ballard Street? 'Cause I thought we discussed that in the September meeting pretty thoroughly. We had a public hearing then too, didn't we? Okay. Just checking.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing now.
Does anybody in the public out there want to say anything?
I'll second
Not
that.
hearing any,
I second.
okay? Pete
Okay.
already did,
Didn't hear that.
okay, so we'll close that hearing.
All in favor?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign, no? Okay, motion passes. Then we have ordinance 10/14/2025/288, discussing possible recommendation to the village board to approve amending chapter 111 zoning and creating section 160, 7A, 161, 7A, and sections 162, 7A dwelling size, RS2 and RS3, single-family district of the Village of Sharon Municipal Code.
So moved.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And we have ordinance 10/14/2025/289, discussing possible recommendation to the village board to approve amending chapter 111 zoning and creating sections 160, 6B, 161, 6B, and 162, 6B, RS1 and RS2 and RS3 single-family district of the Village of Sharon Municipal Code.
I'll make that recommendation to approve, send it to the village board for approval. I'll second it.
permit number 38.04.06, review. Review and discussion, possible motion to amend, suspend, or stay as is occupancy permit number 38.04.06 at 135 North Street Properties.
What is that?
That's truck road property down there.
Oh, that guy right there. Okay. What, are we looking to approve it, or what's the deal here? Review and discussion, possible motion to amend, suspend, or stay as is.
Shannon, do you have anything to say?
So, from what I gather, back in 2004 and 2006, the village issued, occupancy permits, to Mr. Dorn at 135 North Street. And it was an occupancy permit with conditions that it's in your packet, the last 2 pages are what the conditions were of, it's kind of like a conditional use permit, but it was called an occupancy permit. And so we had to bring it, because we reviewed all the CUPs this year, so we had to bring this tonight. This is the last one for the year of, for review. And if you guys wanna change it, or if you're requesting any changes, modify it, or keep it the same.
Are there any changes that are made on that, since we gave them that, granted that?
I don't know, do you want to speak?
No changes?
Oh, are you talking in the past?
Yeah.
There weren't any since 2004.
Okay.
We had to put a fence in 2006, that was required, and he had his attorney, here for a meeting, so that's in the first page of his 2 permits. So with the property was required to have an opaque security fence, 7 feet tall in height between building 2 and building 3 along the front edge of the property. And he did install that, so.
He did install
He
it?
did, yeah.
So he's in compliance?
He's in compliance with all his.
I think he wanted to change something because he does have outdoor storage, and his condition said no outdoor storage, so I don't know if you wanted to
I was
talk
just
about
gonna
that with
mention that.
him.
What are you storing outside, Chuck?
Basically the logs
Oh, the logs?
and trailer. The
Do you have a place to store them inside?
No,
Okay.
and one of the problems is that this was done, there's no conditional use permit, because one can't be issued for that property because it's railroad property, the land. So someone came up with the idea that, well, okay, we'll issue an occupancy permit, and that will take the place of the conditional use, which is kind of getting around the law, I guess, but I didn't see the occupancy permit that was issued, and this was a number of years after we had moved in. And it included no storage, and I was very clear that I would be storing. And the other thing that, in light of other actual conditional uses that have been issued over the years, outdoor storage has been allowed.
I'm gonna say no, because most of our conditional use permits in it states no outside storage. Am I right or
Yeah,
wrong?
you're right, that's pretty common.
Yeah, that's a very
It's like the
common
first
thing that we've
item.
enforced over the years. The one that we do allow is those people out there that are making those, culverts, because
Well, that would be my first
how are
observation.
they gonna possibly keep them inside? It's not gonna happen. You know what I'm saying, Chuck?
Well, it's just like in my case with the logs and the trailers that I have. That's what I store outside.
Have you always, stored those outside?
Yes, sir.
Always?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
This is from 2004, and it says you're not supposed to.
Well, it was before that we moved in, and so we've been storing since 2002.
and it can't be cleaned up.
When you say cleaned up, what's that mean?
Outside storage.
The outside storage.
The city doesn't have any, room for outside, to put those inside.
There's hardly room to drive by on the road.
What now?
There's hardly room to drive by on the road.
I don't go by this office, and you do, so.
I do.
Is that true,
one of
Chuck?
the, well, if you're, I'm not sure exactly what you're implying, but I know that I am within the bounds of my agreement with the railroad. And there is a misconception that all of the paved street on North Street is village property, and it's not. If you go down to where the lumberyard used to be, that's a very narrow street. It looks like it's wide because of the paving, but it's not. And I have been very careful to make sure that I am within the bounds of the property with anything I store, and I try not to even park anywhere. During the day, I pull off into my property when I go in and go to work.
You know, you got us in a catch-22 here, because your
I know.
first thing on that, use permit, or this thing, is number one, no outside storage. And you said that you have been utilizing outside storage since the very beginning,
Yes, sir.
and nobody has ever complained.
No, sir.
Nobody's ever complained.
No, sir.
Okay. So is there any way that maybe you can move it back a little bit?
Well, I will say this, because of some personal things that have happened over the last year or so, I got behind in my work, and I've been trying to catch up, and a lot of those logs I would like to get milled, and as time permits, I will. I mean, if there's a genuine problem, then I will do what I can to mitigate it. But this is the first since 2004 that anybody has said anything. And nothing's been said to me prior to tonight, and
Well, that's 21 years ago.
yeah. And when I met with Shannon last week, I don't recall her saying anything as far as there being any problem.
I can't be specific about dates, but I'm pretty sure I've remembered in the past, this property being brought up with stuff being stored outside. And if it, I mean, we have to follow the rules for everybody, and especially if it's out by the road. I don't really go that way either, but, I mean, what about if we don't make them take it all in, what about fencing around it, moving it back so it's so many feet away, and putting up fencing like the pellet company had. I mean, I don't know if you wanna amend it.
What can you do on that, Chuck?
Well, look, I want to get along, but there's something that needs to be said here. That property is not zoned. And there is a question of what authority the village has as far as regulating that property. Because the land is owned by the railroad, and regulating railroad property runs into conflict with the Commerce Clause of our federal Constitution. That's why my lawyer was involved in 2004. And We never had any
I'm sorry,
kind
your
of.
lawyer was involved in 2004 for what exactly?
Pardon?
What exactly was your lawyer involved
My
with?
lawyer was involved because Rex Henke came back and said that I needed a conditional use. And this was, before I acquired the property, I went to everyone I could think of and asked what was gonna be required of me, and the only thing that I was told was, take out a building permit. And that we did. And a couple of years after we moved in, that was when I got a notice that I had to have a conditional use. And my attorney looked at it and said, no. And I was, like I say, just like the thing with the fence, that was a voluntary thing. That wasn't a requirement. It was, all right, we'll put up a fence between building 2 and 3. I had no problem with that. There's 2 documents that I was shown that one I've never seen, and the other one I don't recall seeing, because if I would have seen it with the storage on it, I would have raised an issue at that time. And it's my understanding there isn't much in the file. And again, this is not a conditional use.
Chuck is right, I remember that, because I was on board then.
And I mean,
It was kind of an unusual issue. The unusual issue about it was because it was railroad property.
correct.
I remember that.
Yeah. It was railroad property. So the way that they handled that was totally different than property that is in the village. So, and his lawyers proved that that was the way to do it, and that's why we got this, instead of a conditional use, we got an occupancy permit. Isn't that what happened, Chuck?
Well, I think what it was Rex was faced with a dilemma. Once he turned the rock over, they had, he couldn't just leave it alone, had to do something, and that's when he came up with the idea of an occupancy permit. But the only thing is that in looking at what is in the file, copies of what I got from Shannon, it still is tantamount to a conditional use permit. Because the title is occupancy, but it's done exactly the same as a conditional use permit.
If that's the case, we've got conditional uses that were issued for that occupancy permit. And like I said, the very first one was no outsourced storage. But here, they've allowed you to do that for 21 years, right?
Yes, sir.
So something seems a little odd to me that you haven't gotten some notification from somebody in our community that they didn't want that allowed.
And if I may add, I've never been called in before during that time as far as a review or complaint or anything.
I'm assuming his attorney got a copy of this because he was present at the February 14th, 2006 meeting and made the agreement with the zoning administrator at the time.
Are you talking about the fence?
Yeah, when they added the fence to the conditions, so I would think that Scott Christian received a copy, but he didn't pass it along to the property.
But he put the fence up.
Yeah, so someone knew about it, put the fence up.
So what do you want us to do, Chuck?
Well,
You're here for a reason.
Well, I'm here because Shannon sent me a letter and said that it was gonna be reviewed, and hence why I'm here. The only change that I would be interested in is deleting that's the storage requirement, the outside storage requirement, because I can show that there's other businesses, well, it's either being ignored or it hasn't been required of other businesses. And as such, it's not germane to the occupancy.
Currently, you have 5 different, issues on this thing. The conditions are no outside storage, no wholesale operations on site, property be maintained in compliance with all village and share municipal and zoning ordinances, occupancy permit for woodworking shop and storage with all associated equipment and stock and other personal equipment, and finally, change of use shall require new occupancy permit. Those are your conditions, I think, isn't it? Okay. So, then you stated very early that you have no inside storage for that material.
No,
So can you store it off-site?
I don't have a place.
Why would there be no inside storage? I mean, that's a pretty big building, right?
The buildings are used for either storage of cut lumber, waiting to be dried, or machinery, or support equipment.
So Chuck, how big of a burden would it be upon you if we ask you to remove that to another place so that you would be in compliance with your permit?
Put me out of business, make the property basically worthless, take my investment, make it zero. I mean, these were issues that, were brought up and were discussed back in 2004. And I'm not trying to be unreasonable, but I do have a right to conduct my business. And my business is woodworking, and I have a sawmill that I cut the logs. I start with a log and I finish with, whether it be furniture, cabinetry, hardwood flooring.
Yeah, I know, what your business is because you've made material for us before, the elevator, so. It's just, you put us in an awful position here.
I don't mean to. I mean, that's not my intent, and, if there was a feasible alternative, I would consider it, but, I mean, I'm not being melodramatic when I say if you tell me I can't store my logs outside or my trailers outside, there's no point in me staying in business, because there's no lumber woodworking shop in this country that stores logs inside.
I can hear you, but, you knew that when we did this in '04, that no storage outside was allowed.
Well, you're right.
You know that?
Well,
And hasn't it changed? I mean,
okay,
I'm just saying the fact.
Well, there's fact and there's fact, and again, I don't mean to be difficult, but there's two pieces of paper that I received that were in the file. And as I said previously, the one I had never seen, and I don't recall the other one. But you will note that these two documents have two separate occupancy permit numbers.
Is 127-04-04B?
That's on one of the copies that I have.
This is from '04, this is,
38.04.060C.
They're different because they're different years. They were issued, one was issued in '04 and one was issued in '06.
Oh, the 06 was for the,
Amendment,
fence.
Fence.
that's
That was an amendment.
So they
to his
made an
original.
updated number.
Okay, sure, we have that.
that's, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There's a logical reason why there's two of them. Because there was an amendment to the original one.
An amendment means the originals are still in force. It's not a new occupancy permit, and as a matter of fact, it states clearly, it says addendum A. Although, to be honest, if you go back and look at the April 29th, 2004, that also is titled addendum A.
Right.
And, you know, we're talking about more than 20 years. And to be honest, I don't understand why this is all of a sudden an issue. And I know you're saying put you in a front position, but for 20 years, there was no problem doing the very same thing that I'm doing now.
I don't think it's your business that's in question, what you're doing. I think the question is the, maintenance of the property and the storage getting to be more and more and more and more and getting to the road. And, you know, being outside, not even supposed to be outside, and now it's like more and more all the time.
Well, that would be a separate issue.
And
I mean, if the issue is you're saying that I'm in the road, I can tell you I'm not, but
like I said, getting close to the road.
But yeah, I won't deny that there's places where it's close to the road. But you know, if you come to the east end of the property, the village's stop sign is not on village property. It's on part of the land that I lease. So, you know, if you're thinking that somehow it's in further, it's not. Because I measured it years ago, before we signed the agreement with the railroad. But everything that's there right now is all on property that I lease.
Again, I don't think that's the argument. The other businesses own their properties also, but they have to follow the,
But they're zoned.
Peter, what's your opinion on this?
I think it's time to conform.
I think it is too.
How often do you get new material down there? Your logs? Can you just stop, you know, if you got an overabundance of material now that's being stored outside, can you stop that, Chuck, now? And then take care of your inventory there and get it into the,
I can stop taking in logs on a temporary basis until I can process the logs, but it's important to understand that, there's a number of criteria that I use before I saw a log, one being species. I have to have enough to cut it into boards to be able to make we refer to as a package, which is a certain amount of uniformity. Generally, it contains, depending on the length, we do 8 foot and 10 foot. It's gotta be able to fit in the kiln. So I have to collect enough logs of the same kind, the same species, before I can cut it into and make a package. And once it gets cut, then that cut material goes into what we call the dry shed, and it dries down to between 20 and 25%, and then it goes into the kiln for final drying so that it can be made into furniture or what have you. So I can never eliminate all the logs. There's always gonna be logs. Now, I admit that there are more logs than I would like to see there. But I lost the better part of a year last year because of an illness in the family that kind of monopolized my time, and I've been trying to get caught up, and it's just taking longer than I want it to. There's some things that I want to do as far as re-roofing and that kind of thing, and it just, this year now, I've pretty much run out of time for that kind of thing. But if you're asking me if I will cut down on my inventory, I am willing to try and do that. I'm willing to stop receiving logs for a period of time.
Is that what you asked, Butch?
yeah, I was asking if you could stop that, stop receiving it. Maybe come back in 3 months or.
Yeah, what kind of time frame do you need?
Well, as far as receiving logs, I mean, I can basically start on that like immediately.
Okay,
Now, there may be some logs that I will receive that don't belong to me, that I custom saw for people. And they bring me their logs, I cut them, they pick up the boards and take it. But it doesn't, the material doesn't linger, if you will. And so as far as that goes, I'll stop bringing in logs. But I will not be able to eliminate logs completely, and then once I get it down, then I will start receiving logs again, but that won't be until next year sometime.
Well, do we need to put a time frame on this?
if we're gonna allow it, we do. What's a reasonable time for you?
Well, one of the things is as you well know, it's a long time of year to be talking about this, because this weekend they're talking about snowfall, and
It's coming.
once the snow flies, that requires me to be able to, I have to clear the snow, and then depending on how cold it is, I can't cut logs all winter long. So
Doesn't the village plow in front of that frontage where all your logs are? Doesn't the village plow that?
Yeah, they plow the street right they plow it all into the logs.
No place else to plow
There's
it.
no place else to put it.
Yeah, but they,
Close to the road.
They,
Okay.
I mean, that's been an object of consternation for a long time.
Mhm.
I mean, I've had,
I think 20 years is enough.
I've had
That's all I'm
the,
saying.
well, the answer to that is just stop putting the village's snow on my property. I mean, because it sounds like you're saying now because the logs are on my property, they're in the way of the guys plowing snow, and that, it's just not the
I
case.
just made a comment.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Shannon, is it reasonable to revisit this in 4 months or 5 months, 6 months?
March.
You certainly can table a decision. You do need to put a time frame on it and date as to when that would be, if you're gonna table it.
I say that we table Chuck's, issue here on this. It's
But if
not
we
a conditional
table it-
use permit, it's a, occupancy permit, the two of them, cause he does have two. We table it until April 1st.
But if you table it, you're not.
Is
bringing
that
in
good? And are you gonna be eliminating some of them logs during that period of time?
I would presume, but again,
See,
you're asking me to predict the weather,
Yeah,
and
but we're giving you a time frame here, you know, that weather, you're gonna have windows where you can do something.
But that's not, so that's why I'm wondering if this table is really not, if you can't table it, you have to put conditions in, bringing it back,
Tabling it is only
just
just
letting
that,
everything.
tabling it. You're not doing
Exactly.
anything with it
I'm
right
not
now.
sure why,
You're
just,
You're setting it to
Right.
discuss
We're doing
it.
zero with this thing right now.
And
We're not
address it
making any
later.
new conditions.
right,
not
so
making any
therefore, come March,
I
nothing's gonna
I
be
can tell
changed.
you right now, we are not, what is that thing on here?
We'll just have to revisit it, say
Yes.
April first,
Uh,
or thereabouts. But in the meantime, we need to take a little closer look at it and see what
Right.
exactly we need to do.
You can do that.
Some
Okay.
of them-
There.
Right.
We're not amending it, suspending it, or but we're just kind of staying it as is temporarily until you make this thing somewhat go away. Right?
well, I will do what I can, but I'm not looking to go out of business.
That I understand, Chuck, but
I'm no different than the new factory and the pipes that they store outside. It's the same thing. And if you let them do it, and you're not gonna let me do it, you already know where I'm going.
Because their conditional use allowed for that with certain conditions and how to store it. Has to be back so far, has to be fenced in. With yours, it's just out there,
If I had a conditional use, you could require that,
right?
but that's the conundrum.
he doesn't, he's got
Right.
an occupancy.
So,
It's not, if you look up at that map, I don't believe you'll find another piece of property that, in the village, that's not zoned. It is a very unique property. But that doesn't mean that I don't have legal rights.
so I
This
guess
was
if
all,
that's what we do, we table it and look into it to figure out.
Okay.
we
What
do
was
and-
my motion?
Table till April 1st.
Okay,
Yeah, I think it's a little premature to get anything.
I think the meeting, the April meeting's gonna be the 28th.
you have what?
An April meeting will be on the 28th.
So like. March
April 28th. Okay. That's what our next April zone meeting is.
You don't wanna go March 20th, you wanna go April 20th?
So what's everybody think of that? It's kind of what you asked for, right,
Yeah.
Butch?
I either said 4 months, 6 months, you know.
What about the end of March?
That's 5 months.
Yeah.
Right here.
I would say March 28th, cause then at least we can see if it's even improving.
I'm gonna say not March because of the weather.
Weather,
The end of March.
it'd be-
No, April.
We do April 20th, that'll give them 5 months, you know, and you'll have 2 months hopefully of good weather,
Right. I would hope it is.
if not more.
Or probably
Yeah.
mom. So. So Jerry's got a motion on the table to table until April 28th. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any? Okay. Passes. So that's tabled until April 28th? And
Hopefully
motion,
we'll see some improvement down there, Chuck.
Well, hey,
And we understand, you know, we've given you 5 months. We'll give you, you know, you said that you can stop taking some of your orders now for the log.
Yeah.
Hopefully you clean that up a little bit and we'll see what happens in April.
well, that's what I said, and that's what I'll do is, I will stop accepting more logs. But not on a permanent basis, but until we get things,
Yeah, until April,
cause,
we'll make a decision in April.
Mhm.
what we're gonna do.
'Cause the biggest thing, Chuck, is like the property needs to be maintained, just like anywhere else, you know? I'm not saying that you shouldn't be able to do your job, but we need to try and keep it as clean as possible. And backed away from the road. It's part of property maintenance in that, permit, so. Hopefully you can work on that a little bit and we'll revisit it.
well, if you folks have gone by the property and noticed, there's a reason why that machine is sitting in the grass. And why it's been there for the last couple of weeks, and using it to do maintenance on the building. So, I'm not, you won't get a disagreement from me. Like I said, got behind on things and I'm trying to catch up.
And I think they're giving you the opportunity to do that. You know, that, so. Do you think you're able to do it, Chuck?
We'll try. I don't wanna, I'm not gonna promise anything because I've.
No, we're not having you promise anything, we're just letting you know. April 28th, it's gonna come up again.
I'll be here. God willing.
Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.